gotkushTV, in conjunction with the official Ghana Beyond the Year of Return series, invite you to the biggest end-of-year pre-Kwanzaa celebration in the world, Black Tricity. Featuring a monumental lineup promoting the culture of the African diaspora from Ghana to the Americas and worldwide, including Reggie Rockstone, Randy Valentine, Yusufu Jallo, VVN, Malaku Selassie, Daddy Makes Dough, Tods, King Wiz, Tubada, Ras Ashiba, Mama Sia, Brother Leader Bandaka, Silas Zephaniah, Israel, Anika, and a special Voyage to Motherland panel discussion. All this and more, hosted by Nat Nai and Stella B, taking place Saturday, the 19th of December, 2020, from 12 p.m. GMT. Register absolutely free at gotkushTV.com to gain access to this exclusive live stream. And yes, you heard correctly, this event is absolutely free. gotkushTV, in conjunction with Ghana Beyond the Year of Return, presents Black Tricity. This is an event not to be missed.
Welcome to Ankh Doctor here on gotkushTV, and we're holding a meds on your UK's #1 conscious platform. It's good to be here with you once again, and we're going to talk about all things Rastafari, and we're going to talk about all things Rastafarianism right now with somebody who has grown in the Rastafarian community from its inception from Jamaica through his father right now to himself. We're going to welcome our honoured Elder Rastafarian, Dr. Lyndon Walters, Natty Lyndon, as we know him as, here on gotkushTV. Welcome to Hold-A-Medz with your Ankh Doctor. I gotta say, held the eye.
Give thanks and praise, man. Give thanks and praise. Yes, lion claws too.
Yeah,
yeah, man, hold it.
And it's an honour to have you here with us this evening on Hold-A-Medz, where we can discuss Rastafarian culture and Rastafarianism, which has been in the news lately, not just in the UK in the last year, in the terms of the treatment of Rastafari, but also in Jamaica as well, whereby we're seeing a new generation of Rastafarian children persecuted by the state, or as Rasta would say, Babylon system. Yeah, so we're going to ask you to give us your insight on that. But first and foremost, let's touch a little bit on the Rastafarian culture, going back to Jamaica. Just give our listeners, our audience, an insight to your background, what part of Jamaica you're from, when you came into England first, please. Well,
first let me say thank you to yourself and gotkushTV for inviting me, or thinking that what I've got is relevant. Yes, I'd be very happy to go back to when I was 4 years old. Yeah, because wow, that's exactly when I was interested and brought into Rastafari. Listening to man's reasoning, listening to the Pocaminia, which is a spiritualist event.
Yes.
Many people misunderstood it to be a religion, but it wasn't a religion.
It was something which was used to invoke ancestor spirituality, correct?
Definitely,
yeah?
Definitely. It was calling on the spirits and maintaining that contact, yeah, through the auspices of vibrations, i.e. the drums.
Which played a major part.
The drums was the core of everything, because even as a child, you know, with the back of the yard and didn't remember that they were going to be there, then obviously hearing the drums would remind me straight away, and I would dash as fast as I could to get to the gate and shout out to my dad that I'm there.
And this would be in Jamaica?
Oh, definitely. Trenchtown itself, 26 Greenwich Road, Trenchtown, yeah.
Okay, and in Jamaica itself, which many, despite the culture and the music and what is portrayed in mainstream media, wouldn't know that Jamaica is in fact a very conservative country, right, Natalie?
Well, the people in the ghetto are not conservative. I cannot put it that way. The establishment people, i.e. remember in those days we were part of the colonial system. You know, it's been forced upon us, if you like, and you'd have people like governors. We didn't have prime ministers in those days. It was governors being appointed to come to Jamaica to make sure that they can damp us down. Yeah? The whole slavery thing again. You know, you will have respect for authority. And authority don't have any respect for I and I or my family. So, you know, we went through it. But Rastafari, wow. Even now I'm still jumping up and down, you know, in celebration of being introduced to Rastafari, living it.
When you say 4, what year would this be?
1952.
1952,
yeah.
And when we're talking about Rastafarianism, we have to bring in, of course, Leonard Howell.
The first Rasta.
The
first Rasta is Leonard Howell that actually helped to celebrate, you know, the ways and the experience of Rastafari. Because obviously, you know, we had the great honorable, I call him the Messiah, Garvey.
And that's who Leonard Howell took his...
Well, Pan-Africanism came through Garvey.
Yes.
And so therefore then Rasta loved the terms of that.
Yes.
Because it was going back to Africa. You know, the Black Star Line and all of this stuff. Yeah, that was what Garvey had brought to Jamaica and the diaspora, you know. And we were very, very interested as a people for going back to Africa.
Yes.
Because, especially my family, my mother's father was a Ghanaian.
Okay.
Who was living in Jamaica.
Linking to the Moors, not the Moors, the Maroons.
The Maroons. I'm a Maroon. I could take off my shoes and show you the mole right here that identify me as a Maroon.
Okay.
It's what I'm saying. So yes.
So Leonard Howell, he came about in the 30s.
Well, Leonard Howell was actually born in 1898.
Okay.
So about 1930 was when about His Majesty was coronation.
Haile Selassie.
Yeah. Well, his actual name is Ras Tafari, as two separate words.
Yes.
Makonnen.
Yes.
So we know him as the Messiah, the one coming back from King David, King Solomon's
line.
Actually, because Solomon was the son of David.
And after Marcus Garvey made a speech in which he referred to look to Africa for a black
Of course,
and the crowning of Selassie. So that was identified at that time as being symbolic.
Very much the huge, more than symbolic. It was the core of our being, because this is where people started to look. This is what Rastafari came in to show them, like, look, you must know your identity. You're African. Not because you're born in Jamaica. You know, it's just a convenience.
And it was that symbolism of seeing not just Haile Selassie, but his wife, Empress
Menem
as well.
And
identifying with black people or black images or black icons at the very top end of society.
Well, who else did we have?
Who
else did we have to appreciate love? Who else could we look forward to for leadership? Who else could we look forward to seeing this land far, far away where we belong, and we are all these thousands of miles away? This was the consciousness of Rastafari.
And then Howell saw that link and brought it to Jamaica, and the Jamaican people...
Well, he didn't brought it to Jamaica, he actually was the first Rasta. I mean, he came and he spoke, you know, to the different chapters, if you like,
Parishes.
Well, parishes, yes, but chapters being that Rastafari wasn't just in one place, if you see what I'm saying. So he would get himself to the different meetings, you know, gatherings, and he would, as many as he could, obviously, get to, because he was being bombarded by the then colonial governors. They had an eye on him. I call them the original CIA. Is what I'm saying, because they track him everywhere he goes, and they beat him. They put him in jail. You see, this is why we love him, because he never give up.
And this was the start, if you like, of the persecution of Rastafari that we still see continuing.
Yes, anything against the colonial,
the establishment,
the system, it was always a big issue. Yes, and in those days, they used to hang us by the neck, not only for murder, but if they felt that you had committed so-called treason.
Or sedition, they call it as well.
Well, sedition, you see, that's the word. That is the real word, because they're saying he's inciting trouble, you know, against the system that they have worship. But Peter them didn't really know, say, all the so-called workers, who they call slave-free workers, were in Jamaica, were the ones that nobody else could control. So them used to throw it down there. So we are a mixture of rebels to start with. So they couldn't understand, or they put you into jail and you wouldn't change.
And that was from being disenfranchised by the class system, or
the classist system
that
definitely
existed.
Definitely.
That came with it. Now, how did I'm trying to make the link between Leonard Howe and now the influence it had on your family, especially your father, right?
Yeah.
Where
my parents.
Okay.
But my mom was more sort of reserved. My daddy was, I'm extrovert. My mom's an introvert.
Yeah.
So she believed in it too, because Marcus is her number one person, and she taught us what she knew. My daddy taught us what we knew. But we're going to say 1930, he would have been, 32 years old. He started to go abroad. Like he went to America, to New York.
That's Marcus Garvey?
No, Leonard.
Yeah.
Because Marcus was going there.
Yes.
So he went, because
okay.
he wanted to find out more about Pan-Africanism.
Yeah.
Okay, because that is where our source. That is the core of our being as Rastas.
And all the great leaders that developed out of that time, Leonard Howe.
But it wasn't just him. It wasn't just him. There was Archibald Dunkley. There was a brother called Hines, and there was a brother called Ibert. Yeah. Ibert was actually working for the Ministry of Transportation.
For the government.
As an engineer, yeah.
For the state?
Yes, for the state. So he was a very intelligent man, very creative. He actually ran to be a minister in the end, but that's further on. Yeah. But let's just go back to 1930 to say 33. This is the from 1930. Leonard's been talking about it, spreading it around.
I was about to say they were all inspired by Garvey. It wasn't just Leonard Howe, Elijah Muhammad, Nation of Islam, Noble Juali of the Moorish Science Temple.
It was
inspired by what Marcus Garvey.
Number one, Marcus Garvey was number one everywhere.
Henceforth, why
even in New York. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And so therefore then the likes of Leonard actually followed him around as best as he could. He went to New York, he went to Panama, wherever Marcus went. Yes. So he believed in the teachings of Marcus Garvey. And the talking about going back to where we belong. Yes. Wow, that just impressed everybody.
Journey home back to Africa, back to the motherland.
Yeah.
So, as it says, it had an influence, or as you're saying, on your parents.
Oh yeah, not just my parents, the community. The community. There was hardly anybody in the community who wasn't already, if you like, call it a convert to Marcus Garvey.
And it's terrified the conservative colonial system of Jamaica, as now these teachings started to spread throughout the garrisons and the so-called ghettos.
And around the parishes, because you remember, we use word, sound and power.
Yes.
So if somebody came into our community and stole something or did something wrong, we had no telephone. But they said, thief, 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 and it just carried along all the yard them, and you never get away. So you can imagine this huge thing now about Marcus, Pan-Africanism. The impact it had was immense, because you're talking about a man who was very humble, and he himself was being arrested from time to time, So let's go back, like I said, to 33. Leonard Hall went away and he came back to Jamaica in 1932. So he left in back end of 30s and come back in Jamaica at 32. And then he got himself organized. He didn't just want to talk and talk. He wanted to be organized and then put it to you and see, make sure that you get what he's saying and see what your reaction was. Now, I'm not going to say everybody went for it, because there were those who were, let's say, self-converts of the colonialists. And so they too were very harsh on us, and they would spy on us, and they would snitch on us, and all of this. You know, so that number 26, them people, they belong to Rasta as well, you know, that kind of a thing. You couldn't help them, you had to forgive them, because that's all they knew. Yeah, you know, it's like the house slave and the field slave. We were the field slaves, and they were the house slaves. So they believe they go to Massa and tell Massa. Massa, oh yes, but they did get favors. They get milk powder, you know, and all of these things free. And of course, in a place like the ghetto, you don't refuse anything.
That's free.
Yeah, that's free. You know?
And these teachings had a massive impact as it came more to the world's consciousness through the music, yeah.
Well, before we go to music, you know, we have to go way back, because remember, say, I don't know if you know, but Leonard Howell's father was a preacher. He was an Anglican preacher. Okay. So Leonard was in the church before he rebelled. Yeah? So when he was going around telling people, they used to say Leonard Howell was preaching. But he wasn't preaching, he was teaching.
Yes.
If you see what I'm saying. Rastafari don't preach. Rastafari just teach.
Yes.
So there was a lot of things that got clarification when Leonard came. Yeah? And it was very powerful for us. I mean, I was just 4 years old and I felt like big in this thing. You know, I mean, obviously hardly knew my times table, but I felt good. I felt important. I felt as if like Africa. And knowing my grandfather come from Ghana, wow, I was the bee's knees, if you like, you know? Yeah. So eventually, what really happened was, we kept having meetings. And we're talking about the poverty-stricken areas like Trenchtown. So there are lots of towns, and there are lots of pens.
This is
so
where Trenchtown would be where...
Eastern Kingston.
Bob Marley was from as well, right?
Well, he wasn't from there, he came there.
Okay.
Yeah, he was born in St. Anne's, and he spent time in St. Anne's, but he came there fairly young, because like I was watching a video with Toots last night. Toots, yeah, where the people want to come and interview him, and he was just laughing, and he was just telling them, say, I came from Maypen, remember I said Pen, and I come up to Trenchtown. Deliberately, because everything happened in Trenchtown. And the Rastafari movement, actually when I was just smiling that we know we have this interview today and I can actually mention it. And so the man must have said something to him like, but you never, I never see you like with locks or something like that. I took off his hat and said, look, I don't have to grow locks to be a Rasta. I am a Rasta. And he said, every strand of this hair on my head is locks. So what could they say? They had to just change the conversation, and I thought, I must add this today because, this is the man. And we'll come back to how important he is to Rasta as well, later on in our interview. But let's go back to say where the Pocominia, very influential because it's part of Africa, come to Jamaica and still working. Yes? And so the people them who didn't want to join Rasta was calling them Obeah people.
Yes.
See them come with them candle and them come with them drum and them come with them psalms but it wasn't really psalms.
Of the establishment.
These are the house slaves, which was carrying news to the establishment. The establishment was giving them the hard pound or 5 shillings. I doubt if they got a pound in those days, maybe 5 shillings, because it was the old 240 pence make a pound. So if you had that in all change, you don't have no pocket left after you carry it around for about half a day. Your pocket bust. You see? But Rastafari, the teachings of Rastafari was the best thing that ever happened to me.
And personally, it got embraced by the garrisons, the ghettos, the parishes, started to come out in Jamaican music?
Well, of course, music, we were copying, to be frank with you. Jamaican music only come out, say, the latter part of the 50s going 60s, you know, right? All them songs from America and from Britain or whatever was what we used to have to listen to and sing.
Was dominating.
Yeah, it was dominating, so it wasn't really, the music didn't come yet. You know, you're going back to 1933, you know. Leonard didn't die until 81, so he had a big sweeping influence all the way through. You see? So, the Pocominia was the mainstay for us, because Pocominia now start to grow, because people start to join the spiritualist movement. And the spiritualist movement was on virtually every corner after 2 or 3, 4 years. Every corner you could go, there was a spiritualist, Pocominia. So we have to give lots of praises to Pocominia. And all of the chanting that Rasta do now, chanting music, was built from the Pocominia.
Came out of there.
Yeah, because the big, what you call the big drum, I can't remember the name, that one that Bonnie Wheeler used to play.
Yeah.
He just jump it, that's a big bass drum. That was the one that got everybody going.
Would it be fair to say that it was Rastafari that gave birth to the sound that today's called reggae music?
Toots and the Maters talk about that last night. Toots talked about it. It's him actually gave the name reggae, you know. It's Toots called it reggae. Yeah? This is what I'm showing you.
Which they term as Jamaica folk music.
Well, no, you see, they're all mixed up. Jamaica folk music was what we were given by the British, where they do the square dance. You understand, and go around, country dance, square dance. Yeah? Miss Lou actually parodied square dance.
Yes.
Yes? So if you remember that.
Great, Miss Lou.
The great Clover, you know, Clover, she really name, you know. But she actually talk about that. So our music was formed from, we used to be like covers for the American music especially, because it was more lively than the British one. Like British ones like you're dead, you know. Some dead business.
The Motown and the Atlantic.
The Motown come way after. Motown came about 67, 68. No, 66, 67, 68 was more Motown style, early 70s and stuff like that. Music we formed. I mean, we remember we moved from, we had the a little boom box on the floor where them play like a drum. Yeah? That's how people used to sing from that. And of course, the construction of the songs were very full, like the brother talked about earlier on. But what I'm saying is people were letting it out through the mouth, but the music wasn't there, because we couldn't find a kind of music to match it. So what we really did was copy the blues.
Yes.
Because the blues is a sufferer's music. So we sung the blues with the boombox, with a kind of rhythm to it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You had man like Lord Creator and them man that was a sing. Yeah? All of them, everyone, even Jackie Opel, who came from Barbados and live in Jamaica, may cry me a river. You know that tune there? You've got to get on your knees and cry me a river. That bad singer. Yeah, all of them people that start come up now and make meaningful songs. So what was the first one? Was Blue Beat,
yes,
which was a mixture of the foreign songs with our feelings. Yeah, the blues with the beat of the Caribbean, but mostly Jamaican. Upbeat. We like upbeat. And so what we did after that blue beat was ska. And even the great Toots have to say the originators of ska was the Scatolites.
Yes.
Which is true. And remember now, these are young men who went to reformatory schools, you know. When I say that Sister Boobieg, Sister Ignatius, actually taught them all them instruments. So every single one, Roland Alfonso, the whole lot of them, yeah, they all learned from Sister. And everyone's a Rasta. How about that? Everyone's a Rasta, because now we get a chance to put the lyrics to our music.
The most famous exponent or Rasta of that would be Robert Nesta Marley.
Well, in the latter run, but there were great other artists long before Marley even come to Kingston. Yeah? We had expressionism. We always have a story. Our music is about message. We have message music.
And he, even though he was the face, the rest of the Wailers were just as talented.
Well, I don't want to say he was the face, because he wasn't the face then. He was the difference in how we deliver our messages. Now that I will give him 100% credit for, because my personal brethren who live 4 streets away from one another.
Okay.
You see, we play football on the street, kick off our toy and the rest. But Bob came with a serious thing and said we can't just sing Peter Touch. Peter Touch was the one who said we can't just sing love song. You know, to sing Bend Down Low and all of them tune there. Was the first kind of thing, because Bob saw himself as a soul singer with this thing called reggae.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? So the Soul Rebels LP, but still there was this cry from deep down, whatever he was singing. Yes, it was always protestation. And where he was smart, smarter than the rest, is to use all of the proverbs, the old proverbs, like if an egg, me in the red. You see, that's what Marley did. And that taught me a lot as a musician, that you need to know musicianship before you can be a musician. Just like what other brothers will say. But Bob, yes, he came and he did his thing. Nobody wanted to play his music. Again, they was against him. You remember him sing I Shot the Sheriff?
Yeah.
Remember him sing I Shot the Sheriff?
Yeah.
Him say, yes, I shot the sheriff, but I did not shoot the deputy. Now, I know exactly what happened there. Sheriff John Brown, him say, wouldn't leave him alone. Him go downtown, him sit John Brown beside him. He let him give him, you know, the same jeep. That's the Rastas were long before Bob even locks. They were drugging people, real, you know, Rasta was there before, by them locks along the street, brethren.
And some of the great Jamaican leaders who were to be turned as national heroes were very much a part of that as well. Right?
I wouldn't call all of them national heroes to we, because we in Trenchtown never have no national leader. No, we never have no national leader. That's why we are rebels. Because nobody cares about us. Remember, you got 14 parishes. We are the parish of St. Andrew. But they had to divide it up. Tappanaris live uptown, and we live downtown. This is what I'm saying. There's a lot of town. There's Almond Town, Greenwich Town, you know, and farms, Greenwich Farm, and so forth and so on. This is a stigma. Because if you have an address in the ghetto, and you're a Rasta, or you have anybody who know you to know a Rasta, you are in trouble. You're not getting a job. You can't go to certain schools. It was terrible.
And it was just because of your
address.
Your address. It's interesting you mentioned the school system,
Yeah.
because in the news lately has been a ruling in the Jamaica Supreme Court whereby they ruled against a young girl not being able to have locks as a part of the uniform.
Yeah, so it was against uniform policy.
And the same thing happened in the UK as well. Where
Yes,
the school
Chigezi.
went against a young
Chikezi, yeah.
youth man.
In Fulham Boys School.
Yeah,
Yes.
so we're still seeing that persecution
Oh,
of
yes.
Rasta
Oh, yes.
still continuing.
It's never going to stop.
And considering what we've seen Rasta come to give into the world, peace and love, even though once again the mainstream media tries to portray Rasta's just only being about marijuana and
They're jokers. They're jokers. They said Bob Marley smoke. Do you know what a crocus bag is? Anybody know what a crocus bag is?
yeah,
It's a big sack, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
You mean you
Like
can
the
fit
black
inside
bag.
of it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
It's bigger than the black bag,
but
right?
like,
I
just
could
give, for
fit in a
example.
crocus bag. These people here were saying that Bob Marley smoked 27 crocus bag of weed every day. So it just tells you how...
TV, in conjunction with the official Ghana Beyond the Year of Return series, invite you to the biggest end-of-year pre-Kwanzaa celebration in the world, gotkushTV. featuring a monumental lineup promoting the culture of the African diaspora from Ghana to the Americas and worldwide, including Reggie Rockstone, Randy Valentine, Yusufu Jallo, VVN, Malachi Selassie, Daddy Makes Dough, Tods, King Wiz, Tubada, Ras Ashiba, Mama Sia, Brother Leader Bandaka, Silas Zephaniah, Israel, Anika, and a special Voyage to Motherland panel discussion. All this and more, hosted by Nat Nye and Stella B, taking place Saturday, the 19th of December 2020 from 12 p.m. GMT. Register absolutely free at gotkushTV.com to gain access to this exclusive live stream. And yes, you heard correctly, this event is absolutely free. Gotkush TV in conjunction with Ghana Beyond the Year of Return presents Black Tricity. This is an event not to be missed.